The only Giratina origin form that was able to make day 2 at NAIC featured Kyogre instead of Zamazenta, which we're commonly used to seeing, and we're going to be trying out Giratina origin form with Kyogre and seeing how well or not well they might pair together. This is Henry Rich's Giratina origin form team that he was able to use to get day 2 at the North American International Championship. Let's break it down. First up, we have the Mystic Water Kyogre powering up its water type moves with the Drizzle ability to summon the Rain with the Grass Terra type to help out against super effective electric and grass type attacks with Water Spout, Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, and Protect. Across the board, it's a pretty standard Kyogre, Mystic Water to power up its water type moves. The Grass Terra type is pretty common Terra typing with Water Spout and another water type move, this case being Hydro Pump, in order to dish out as much damage as possible while playing around the Wide Guard. Ice Beam just for coverage to hit the dragon and the grass types that are able to resist the water type moves. Not much to say about the Kyogre otherwise. The EV spread 156 with a modest nature does give it an extra stat point in its special attack. 180 speed, you want it to be able to outspeed Pokemon under Tailwind. Not really sure what the exact speed stat does accomplish. It is able to outspeed like max speed Raging Bolt, maybe a few points above that. I don't think it really has anything super specific that the Kyogre outspeeds even under Tailwind. And then the HP just has a really good amount of bulk because since this team doesn't have Intimidate, you want the Kyogre to be able to take attacks, especially like the spread moves like the Astral Barrage and more. And it does have a good amount of HP investment to be able to take attacks because it does have actually a really high special defense. A powerful sweeper under Rain, not much to say about it. Next up, we have the Safety Goggles Volcarona to play around any spores and powder moves in general with the Flame Body ability that gives it a chance to burn any Pokemon that come into contact with Volcarona with the Water Terra type, a great defensive typing to help out against water type moves, and of course still resist the Glacial Lance, which is pretty important for your Calyx Ice Rider matchup. The Struggle Bug, Rage Powder, Willis, and Protect. You might notice this Volcarona isn't running a fire type move, but it does kind of make sense when you do have the Kyogre and it is going to be your main Pokemon that you're drawing away attacks from. So you have that Rage Power to protect that Kyogre. You're going to have to rain out. Your fire moves are already weakened. So why not just not run it at all? You can run Struggle Bug, which is able to still hit grass type effectively, like the Rillaboom and Terra Grasses in general, while being able to lower the special attack damage output. A Pokemon like Miraidon, Calyx Shadow Rider, still pretty important. Rage Powder you want for the redirection. Willis to be able to burn the Calyx Ice Rider and other physical attackers like the Zamazenta Giratina instead of relying on the Flame Body burn. And it is a pretty simple Volcarona. The EV spread allows it to outspeed Smeargle with a 60 investment into speed with Timid Nature. That does allow it to outspeed Smeargle by 1 point. 196 defense and max HP to maximize the grassy terrain recovery as a number divisible by 16. Across the board, Volcarona, this one going to be supportive. We've seen Volcarona and Kyogre just do well because of the fact that you are able to do well into the grass type Pokemon with the Volcarona, even though you can't redirect them. But great against Pokemon like Zamazenta that can give Kyogre a bit of trouble. Next Pokemon is the Assault Vest Rillaboom, the Grassy Surge ability to summon the grassy terrain with the Fire Terror type with Woodhammer, Grassy Glide, U-Turn, Fake Out. It's a pretty standard Rillaboom, not much to say. Of course, Rillaboom next to Kyogre, great pairing because you do have the Rillaboom to be able to hit any Pokemon that the Kyogre cannot touch, specifically those water types, the grassy terrain to get a recovery for its Water Spout, so it can actually do more damage. And yeah, there's not really much to say about it. It's just a great mom paired with Kyogre. It's a pretty standard Rillaboom that's able to remove the threat of the electric rain from the Miraidon and weaken it, but also just pair up well with Kyogre in general. For the EV spread, it's a pretty standard Rillaboom. We have 204 HP, 36 attack, which is able to give an extra stat point with that Adamant Nature. 4 in defense, 12 in speed to be able to speed creep opposing Rillabooms that run 4 or 0 speed, and then max special defense. This allows Rillaboom to survive, let's say, a Helping Hand, Choice Specs Miraidon, Draco Meteor outside of electric terrain. So that can be a pretty common calc with like Farigiraf and the Miraidon in general. So yeah, it's just able to switch into Miraidon pretty comfortably, do some decent damage with the Grassy Glide as a cleanup and Woodhammer, while being able to pivot for the Kyogre while summoning that grassy terrain. Next Pokemon we have is the Covert Cloak Whimsicott to prevent it from secondary effects like the Fake Out Flinch with the Prankster ability that gives a +1 to any non-attacking status moves with the Fire Terra type that is just able to help out against like Sun teams, against really strong fire moves in general, the super strong Fairy type attacks with Moonblast, Tailwind, Encore, and Light Screen. It's a pretty standard Whimsicott. Otherwise, the Covert Cloak, of course, a pretty common item on Whimsicott to prevent the Fake Out, so you can always guarantee that Tailwind goes up. You have the Moonblast as a strong Fairy type attack, Tailwind, which is going to be great speed control for the Kyogre, especially. Encore, which is able to just be very disruptive if the opponent's like going for protects or fake outs in order to stall out the Tailwind turns. And Light Screen, of course, to help out against those special restricteds, especially the Miraidon and the Calyrex Shadow Rider. With the EV spread, it's a pretty bulky one. You have 52 speed with a timid nature. This just allows the Whimsicott to outspeed any of the max speed base 90s, like opposing Kyogres, for instance. You have pretty much otherwise just a lot of HP and special defense just to be able to take moves, especially with that Light Screen, making like Astral Barrage a 3 KO from Calyrex Shadow Rider, be able to absorb the attacks from the Miraidon so it can stick around, threaten with the Encore, and get maybe multiple things up like the Light Screen, Encore, and Tailwind that you want. That can help support the partners and maybe even get a second Tailwind up if necessary. Next Pokemon we have is the Xianpao with the Focus Sash and the Sword of Ruin that's able to lower the defense of all Pokemon on the field besides itself, with the Stellar Terra type, which is able to power up all of its attacks with the Icicle Crash, Drill Chop, Sucker Punch, and Protect. Xianpao with Kyogre has been used before. It's just able to have good coverage with the Ice and the Water coverage. The Ice, of course, being able to cover the dragons especially and the grass types, while having a dark typing to be able to threaten the Calyrex Shadow Rider, while the Kyogre can of course help out the Xianpao, helping out against the Chiyus and the Incineroars out there. The EV spread is pretty simple: max attack, max speed, actually opting for the adamant nature instead, just going for as much damage as it possibly can, since you do have that Tailwind speed control with the Whimsicott. But pretty much it's a pretty standard Xianpao otherwise. It's able to do a ton of damage, enable the offensive capabilities of Rillaboom and the Giratina, and do some pretty solid damage across the board. Final Pokemon on this team is the Greasiest Core Giratina, which creates the Orton form, giving it the Levitate ability and boosts its attacks of the Ghost and Dragon type moves that the Giratina uses, with the Fire Terror type that is able to help resist the super effective Ice and Fairy type coverage options while preventing the Giratina from being burned, with the Shadow Sneak, Poltergeist, Draco Meteor, and Protect. Across the board, Giratina Origin Form is definitely an interesting restricted for sure. It does have some really nice things about it, which is the Shadow Sneak specifically, a move that could just threaten the Shadow Rider pretty much instantly, which can be very nice, forcing Terras. It can be very important. It's also able to wall a few Pokemon, for instance, a lot of the Heavy Slam Zamazentas and the Ursaluna. It's just Ursalunas in general aren't able to hit the Giratina Origin Form. So it can be very nice against certain mons. Now, there are some downsides to it, of course. Poltergeist is a really strong ghost type move, a bit inaccurate, but the problem is with Poltergeist, it does rely on the opponent having an item. So if they have any consumables, it can go pretty bad. For instance, any consumables like a Focus Sash that's consumed, you can't go for Poltergeist. Granted, you go for Shadow Sneak in that position. But other things like the Electricity Lunala that's been picking up, yeah, you can't Poltergeist Lunala. So there are definitely some downsides. You also have Draco Meteor, which is a really strong Dragon type move. You might be wondering why not just run Dragon Claw and go full physical at that point. The only problem with going full physical is Intimidate, of course, from Incineroar, but also you don't tend to knock out the Dragon type restricted, even with Dragon Claw and the boost, just because Giratina Origin Form, its attack is decent, but it's not like incredible for a restricted Pokemon, and there's nothing that really enables it. So having that Draco Meteor just to be able to one-shot the Miraidon, Koraidon, and more is pretty important for Draco Meteor, but that does rely on it to be a mixed variant. And this one, a little bit strange, does have some HP investment, 108 HP. You have max attack to enable the damage of the Poltergeist and the Shadow Sneak, especially with the Sword of Ruin. Then you have a bit of bonuses into the defenses with 52 and 60, and then 36 special attacks of the Draco Meteors. I don't know if this has any specific calcs, but it is able to hurt. But the problem, as you might notice, is its speed. It's only hitting a 99 speed. I think the thing about Giratina is it will be underspeeding Pokemon under Tailwind even though at the cost of being able to, you know, get more powerful Draco Meteors because you're not going with a my special attack stat. So that is the downside of running this mixed Giratina Origin Form, and deciding not to opt for any speed investment does make the Giratina pretty slow. That means you won't be able to outspeed Shadow Rider Calyrex, Miraidon, Koraidon, Xianpao, and a lot of common Pokemon, even with the Tailwind up from Whimsicott. So we'll see how it is able to manage. I guess just focusing more on the bulk in general with the attack and just being able to survive hits thanks to its good defenses. But we'll see if that's going to be enough. So how to use the team across the board. It is a very offensive team. Of course, you do have things like the offensive Xianpao Giratina mode. You have the Whimsicott and the Kyogre, of course, with the Tailwind mode, Water Spout. You have things like Rillaboom to enable Fake Out for really strong damage output. The Volcarona for the redirection with the Rage Powder, and setting up with the Willis for some free, safer switches. Across the board, there's like a few different ways you can approach it in a lot of different leads. Whimsicott plus Kyogre can always be a strong lead. You could lead the Volcarona next to the Xianpao Giratina or Kyogre for really strong damage output. You can even lead it next to Rillaboom. Whimsicott can lead with anything because, of course, Tailwind does go burr, but the Light Screen, of course, being great support across the board. This Giratina can lead with pretty much anything. You have redirection from the Volcarona. You have the offensive power from the Xianpao, the Tailwind from the Whimsicott, and the Light Screen. And, of course, the Kyogre able to do a lot. There isn't really a straightforward win con, but I'd say Kyogre is probably the mon that does the most damage, and you want to try to set up for that. You could slow the pacing down of the game using Volcarona for the most part, and then try to clean up with priority with the Xianpao, Rillaboom, and Giratina mode. But yes, you do have quite a few different ways to handle this. If you'd like to check out the details of the team and the creator, they'll be linked in the description down below. And let me know in the comments down below, what restricted duos do you think have potential, but we just haven't really seen too much of yet? I don't know if Giratina and Kyogre will be able to go far. Of course, Kyogre is able to help punish the Incineroars that do threaten the Giratina. And Giratina, good against Zamazenta, it is able to wall it at least and threaten Shadow Rider with Shadow Sneak. So it might have some potential. We'll find out in this video. But to let me know any restricted duos that you think might have some really good hidden potential that could do well, but we haven't seen too much in the format yet. But otherwise, let's get started and play some games. Oh no, the stall team. Eternatus, Ho-Oh, Quagsire with Ting-Lu, Grimmsnarl, and Rhydon. Oh boy, this is gonna be something. This is gonna be something, all right. Let's see. How do I want to approach this? Do I bring Encore Whims? It doesn't like Encore Whims can help. I just don't think it's necessary. Kyogre is gonna be brought. I'm bringing the Xianpao. I think Kyogre Pao is probably like my best lead offensively against this team. Have Rillaboom in the back and Giratina as well. Yeah. I could have led Rillaboom immediately, but I don't think Rillaboom's that great of a lead against both restricteds. So I just don't think it's worth it. Like, I'd rather my opponent just get the screen up immediately. So let's see. Gonna be the Grimmsnarl and the Quagsire lead. Okay. Which is fine by me, because if they only get one screen up, that would be pretty nice. They can go for Toxic into Kyogre, but I don't think that's too bad. I'm just going to go for a Icicle Crash and a Water Spout immediately. I am just going for damage. I am just going straight for the damage. I know it's Water Absorb Quagsire. I do have a Rillaboom, so I don't think it's too bad. It's actually kind of funny because if I led Rillaboom, it would be great, but I was expecting maybe like a Eternatus lead. They go for Reflect, so they're not going to have Light Screen up for the game, which is interesting. Okay. I guess they're setting up for Eternatus, but I do have Ice Beam Kyogre that can actually hit a decent amount. Man, I keep forgetting that's like max defense Grimmsnarl, because that taking that much, even with Reflect up, is insane. We do get the KO onto the Grimmsnarl, so Grimmsnarl does go down, which is nice. And we're going to see the Quagsire probably just Toxic. Yep, it does throw off a Toxic into Kyogre. So Kyogre is on the timer, but I don't think it's that bad. Okay. So Eternatus should always be coming in. If they go Ho-Oh, I'm just doubling it up with Icicle Crash plus Water Spout. I don't think it's Ting-Lu at this point in the game. If Eternatus comes in. God, are you Covert Cloak Eternatus or are you Black Sludge? I do not remember. We're gonna go for Icicle Crash. We do have that flinch chance after all, and we are gonna go for an Ice Beam. You go for Protect. I guess they're just gonna go for a Toxic or maybe an EQ. That makes sense, but I think that's still all right. just revealed Ice Beam. Should I Hydro Pump here? I think maybe I should Hydro Pump. I think Hydro Pump the next turn might be worth it. Because they might Terra Fairy. There's a world they Terra Fairy. Oh, they Earth Power to Kyogre. I mean, the damage is like nothing. Okay. All right, let's go for an Asco Crash and let's go for... I think I'm going to Hydro Pump. I'm willing to risk a Hydro Pump immediately. If this is Ho-Oh, that's really good for me. Yep, I drew off some water moves. Asco Crash going to come out into the Ho-Oh. Doesn't do much, but Hydro Pump will do a lot. So goodbye, Ho-Oh. Great. All right, that's 2 knockouts, which is important for the stall. As they overpower the POW, it's not going to 2-shot though, because Quagsire doesn't exactly have the best stats in the world. Okay. They're taking chip from poison. This is going to be Eternatus. They probably protect here. I think my best play is just to protect the Chien-Pao and go Rila. Like, the Eternatus is going to be the demon. If I can play around the Eternatus, is great. I think, though, like... What's the Eternatus? Actually, doesn't the Eternatus only have Fire Spin's attacking move? I think it is. Because it's Recover, Protect, Cosmic Power, Fire Spin. We force a Terrestrialization, so... They actually do Terrestrialize the Eternatus immediately. Okay. I imagine they're going for Cosmic Power. Okay, yeah. If it was Terra Fairy, it's not Black Sludge, so it's definitely Cobra Cloak. Okay. Yeah, they go for Cosmic Power immediately. I can't flinch the Eternatus. I need some help against that Eternatus. They overpowered a Kyogre slot, which is interesting. All right. Do I lose 1v4 though to Eternatus? I feel like the answer is no, but we'll see. Quagsire always protects here. There's no way they attack with the Quagsire. I'm just gonna go for a Wood Hammer and a... Yeah, I'm gonna go for a Wood Hammer and a Icicle Crash into the Eternatus. Wow, they actually attacked. That's aggressive. Okay. They went for Cosmic Power again. You do get the Wood Hammer off into the Eternatus. Not bad damage. You do Toxic my Rila. Could have Wood Hammered the Quagsire. I guess I should have Wood Hammered the Quagsire. I mean, I guess like Fire Spin isn't too bad to deal with, but maybe I should start slowing down. I think I will be going for a timer endgame. Although they are stalling out their turns of Reflect. So I guess that's why they want to build up the Cosmic Power now. 3 turns of Reflect, 3 turns of Grassy. Grassization doesn't mean anything in this. Okay. I think we always protect the POW. And I think terrestrialization wise, the best terrestrialization I have is unironically Rillaboom. I'm going for a Wood Hammer and a Quagsire. The reason I think the best terrestrialization for Rillaboom is I want to keep the ghost typing on the Giratina because it's the only thing that can switch out of Fire Spin other than U-turn Rillaboom. And the Kyogre Grass Terra doesn't matter. Stellar Terra doesn't matter if I can't KO the Eternatus. So I think the best play is always to go for this. Even if they protect Quagsire, it's fine. It doesn't change much. You're gonna Fire Spin my POW. That makes sense. Okay, then we go into Giratina. All right. This is doable. I kind of wish I could get Grassy Terrain Recovery for Giratina, though. That's like the one thing I am missing here. I'm kind of curious how much Hydro Pump does to the Eternatus in the future games, but we are going to go on to Giratina. And we're going to go for a Wood Hammer into the Quagsire. How much year time do I have? I have a decent amount of year time. I could maybe take like 30 seconds per your time. But it's like we still have like 12 to 13 minutes of this game left. Yeah, but we always would hammer here. We swap. I'm kind of curious if they have enough Fire Spin power points to deal with Giratina though. That's the big question. How much power points does Fire Spin even have? Is it 24? I don't think it's 16. Double Protect is bad. Okay. Double Protect is actually kind of bad. Because I wanted to U-turn and swap to Giratina the next turn. Alright. Because I take so much more recoil on the Rillaboom at this point. Like, I don't know. Yeah, that's just such a bad double protect, actually. Swapping into POW and going for Wood Hammer into the Quagsire. I guess like Grassy Glide. I mean, I don't want to risk Grassy Glide not KOing Quagsire. I know Quagsire has some pretty solid defenses. Sort of ruined Grassy Terrain Grass, but I mean, even to reflect, I think it should KO, but I'd rather just Wood Hammer to be safe. You go for a triple. Not surprising. Oh, they didn't Fire Spin. Okay, wait, that's actually good. That's actually good. All right, goodbye, Quagsire. Because if they didn't Fire Spin my Rillaboom, it actually means that I can actually have more recovery. All right. Like, I probably live the next turn of Toxic now. Because they didn't get the Fire Spin recoil. Okay, perfect. Reflect wears off. It doesn't really change much. Grassy Terrain disappears, but that's fine. We go for a Protect and we swap to Giratina here. And now I think we're going to be taking our time. So I am going to probably just speed up this part because it's not really an interesting end game here. Ooh, that's a nice dodge too. That's a nice dodge. A beautiful dodge. It's going to be a close one, but it's definitely playable. As long as I have 2 Mons, I should be fine. There we go. There we go. Oh man, I had some moments where I was sweating a bit because one bad switch in Aurelia was really bad. That's why the double protect mattered, because of the fact that Rillaboom would have been a bit more healthier since it would have taken the extra turn of toxic damage, where I would have been able to like really switch in more clearly and would have been in a way healthier spot, since like the only move is Fire Spin. But that is the beauty of overall game timer, everybody. That is the beauty of overall game timer. Calyx, Shadow Rider, Zamazenta, Cornerstone Ogerpon, Incineroar, Raging Bolt, and Rillaboom. All right. Okay, standard stuff. This is realistically probably just a Whimsicott Kyogre angle. I do like Whimsicott and I do like Kyogre. I do like it a lot. I probably would go with Giratina and Volcarona back, I assume. Sheenpow's decent though. But I think the Tailwind mode is super solid. And the problem with Sheenpow is I enabled their Zamazenta's Body Press. Volcarona is very nice in the matchup other than the Cornerstone. So I think that this is pretty reasonable. Terra-wise, I'm not sure. It's probably going to be my Kyogre, I'd imagine. I'm not going to Terra my Volcarona. And it's not going to Terra my Whimsicott. So yeah, it's probably going to be the Kyogre, so I can Terra Grass and get rid of that weakness, because I don't really need the fire typing or the water typing in the matchup. It doesn't really change much. So yeah, Terra Grass just makes so much sense here. Kind of curious on what they lead. I'm probably just gonna... I'm trying to think about what they lead here, because I'm not really too worried about much other than Zama leads. If they lead Zama, I'll probably... It depends on what they lead with Zama, I suppose, because I'll probably go Volcarona. The question is, are they leaning like Cornerstone Zama? Because I think Cornerstone Zama would be the big one, but we'll see. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right. If we force a Terra, that's perfect. I can't really afford to lose Whimsicott in the matchup without accomplishing anything. So I think I'm just going to Tailwind and I'm going to go for Terra Grass Water Spout. If they go for Wide Guard turn 1, they go for Wide Guard turn 1. I then threaten the Moonblast plus Ice Beam or Hydro Pump, which is fine, I suppose. And I could always Encore the Zama if I want to. Then again, they have Follow Me, so... Not the easiest, but getting a bunch of damage off right off the bat isn't too bad, because I don't really need Kyogre to sweep this team. I just needed to get some damage to set up for Giratina being put in a better position. The only thing I really have to worry about is Sash Shadow Rider, I think, because Sash Shadow Rider will be a bit scary for Shadow Sneak endgame plan. If I can force Terastallization here from like the Zamazenta, I think it's a pretty good shape, but we'll see. All right, no Wide Guard. I do get the Tailwind up. No Terastallization either, so I get some pretty heavy damage across the bat. Even if I lose Kyogre here, it's not like that bad. Yeah, that's a big amount of damage. They go for Ivy Cudgel. They target the Whims, I guess, to cover for a Focus Sash set. Yeah, they double up the Whims. This is perfect. Okay, that's really good for me. That's really good. Because now I get to go out into Giratina. And I'm going to go for a Poltergeist into the Ogerpon, and I'm going to Water Spout. They're probably just going to double protect with Spiky Shield Protect, and that's why I'm making this play. Because I don't want to Shadow Sneak into a Spiky Shield. I'll do that. I'll Shadow Sneak the next turn. They do go for the Spiky Shield, which is perfect. Just Protect as well. Yeah, that makes sense. And next turn, I can go for a Hydro Pump Shadow Sneak, which I think is worth it. All right, I'm feeling pretty good about the spot, but I got to be cautious because this game is still nowhere near over. This Poltergeist gonna go into the Spiky Shield, and I'm not risking a miss this time around, so we're going to go for Shadow Sneak and a Hydro Pump. They might decide, hey, I'm going to go for a swap in Wide Guard, so I'm going to Shadow Sneak Hydro this slot. They do retreat to Ogre Pond. This Rilla, actually, now that I think about it. Incineroar is fine. Okay. This is Wide Guard 100%. Yeah. Okay. So I kind of get a decent read. I could have got rid of the Zama. But, I mean, getting rid of Incen's nice still. Because it's one Mon that has access to Fake Out. Don't have to worry about Intimidate anymore. Get a crit on the Shadow Sneak. Doesn't really matter. Hydro Pump going to come out. Take the Incineroar. And now the Zamazenta is going off a double protect. So this isn't awful. This is Shadow Rider coming in. You can't go Cornerstone. There's no way. You have to reveal Shadow Rider here. Also interesting to see no Rilla or Raging Bolt in this matchup against Kyogre. Should always be Shadow Rider. Yeah. Endgame's a bit spooky. It's really spooky. It depends on terrestrialization and item on the Calyx. I assume it's Sash. I just don't know if they protect this turn or they actually attack. I'm gonna Hydro Pump to Zama still. If they went for an attack, my best play was to Hydro Pump to put in Shadow Sneak range. But I think they're gonna protect Callie and Wide Guard. Or double protect the Zama. Oh, they actually swap out Zama. Wait, this works out fine for me. Yeah, Ogre Pond comes in. I think this is fine. Perfect. Okay. If I hit. I need to hit this one. Oh. Bad miss. Bad miss. Actually, is it that bad? I don't think... No, it's actually not that bad. I get a Rage Powder Water Spout off. Yes. Oh, why do I keep forgetting that? I should have struggle bugged. Oh my goodness. Why do I keep forgetting about these grass types and the Rage Powder? It's every time. It's just Volcarona. It's for some reason every time I use Volcarona. Oh, they're just gonna Ivy Cudgel. Astral Barrage. Why do I do this to myself every time? I should stop recording when it's like over 90 degrees outside, because it's obviously cooked my brain somehow. Unless no, it's always Terra Ghost. I'm gonna be so upset because this is gonna be Astral Barrage, Ivy Cudgel, and it's gonna KO. Unless they protect for some reason. Like, this Rage Powder makes no sense. My opponent's definitely, like, realizes that too. If I Struggle Bug, I'm actually in a good spot to win, I think. Oh, they targeted Volcarona. Okay, I win. I win because of that. That's just still silly with me. Struggle Bug always secures the game with Water Spout. Yeah, because Shadow Rider's in range of Shadow Sneak now. If I got the Struggle Bug off into the Shadow Rider, they are -1 special attack, then I could go for Poltergeist. And assuming I don't get crit or miss one Poltergeist, I think I'd win the game against the Zamazenta in a 1v1 or 1v2. Well, I guess it'd be 2v2 still, because I had Volcarona around, but yeah. We go for Shadow Sneak, and we go for Protect. Because they're just going to go for Body Press. I'm surprised they didn't Protect Body Press, but okay. Shadow Sneak. KOs the Calyx. Goodbye. 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 I'm going to take a break after playing this battle because for some reason the Volcarona thing, like, this is not like the first time I've done it either. This is like had been recently. Like, I've done this multiple times recently. Now obviously I'm not learning from my mistakes. We go for Poltergeist, and I mean, I guess technically the better option is just Shadow Sneak a bunch of times and Water Spout. But yeah, they just can't win against Giratina because they Ivy Cudgeled the Volcarona. If they Ivy Cudgeled the other slot, it was bad. But I really should have just Struggle Bugged because Struggle Bug was in a much better win con. Granted, like, it's not a guaranteed because it's still crit my Giratina with a -1 Astro. I'd be taking Astro fine. Or not fine, but it's like at least I'd be taking it, and then it just depends on how much Heavy Slam's doing. But I think I'd still be in an okay spot at the end of the day. So yeah. I'm just mad at myself for making that mistake again. All right, we have the Iron Valiant, Calyx Shadow Rider, Chien Pao, Miraidon, Whimsicott, and Urshifu. What do I want to go against this team? Giratina's pretty solid. A Light Screen Whimsicott's amazing in this matchup. It is really good here. I think I wouldn't mind leading Whimsicott Volcarona. Struggle Bug into the Light Screen is just so oppressive for them. That means I might not be bringing one of my restricteds if that's the case. I guess I don't need Kyogre in this matchup because Miraidon, I mean, Shadow Rider is decent against, but it's not really necessary. I think I'm going to go with Whimsicott Volcarona, have Giratina plus Rillaboom back. I think this makes a lot of sense. Chien Pao's not bad, of course. They do have 2 Ice Weeks and, of course, Sucker Punch for the Shadow Rider, but I don't think I want to enable the Urshifu. I think Urshifu is just such a big threat that I have to respect it a lot. So I think bring Giratina and Rillaboom because Rillaboom does help out against the Miraidon while I'm able to do a lot with my other stuff. All right, we're going to see Calyx, Shadow Rider, and Whimsicott. So this is pretty ideal here because the Light Screen Struggle Bug is pretty safe here and there's not much they could do. I will go for a Light Screen immediately, and I'm going to go for a Struggle Bug immediately. We get some chip damage into Whimsicott, break potential Focus Sash, and just lower the damage output of these mons because it's super important. The Light Screen will come out as Astral Barrage. Like, we also am putting these Pokemon closer into ideal range for my... It's Life Orb Calyx. Okay. Struggle Bug. Now they just don't do nearly enough damage. Beautiful. Solvest Rillaboom makes a lot of sense here. And the question is, do I protect or do I attack? I think I go... I think I Struggle Bug again. Just don't fake... Well, do they have fake tears on this team? I guess they got a fake tears. We'll see. Helping Hand. That means Volcarona would be able to survive the next attack. But we'll see. I'm going to switch on my Whimsicott, bringing my Rillaboom so I can threaten the Shadow Rider with offense. I also want to try to get a free U-turn out into... Or I do think getting a free U-turn into my Giratina would be really good here. Let's see. Oh, they Encore my Volcarona into Struggle Bug, which is actually fine. Like, I'm fine with spamming Struggle Bug here. Go for another Astral. Yeah, as you can see, it's just not doing any damage here. Perfect. And I am going to be able to get a free Struggle Bug off. And, like, we're chipping away at these mons. Like, both of these Pokemon are under half. I mean, our Volcarona is pretty weakened. But at this point, like, everything's getting into range of Shadow Sneak, which is pretty ideal here. So I think they're probably just going to switch out to Shadow Rider. I don't know if the Whimsicott has Protect or not, but I would like to get a Whimsicott if I can, especially if they don't have Protect. So I'm going to go for Struggle Bug and I'm going to go for U-turn. If I get the free U-turn off into the Giratina, I think I'm in a good spot. We're going to see Whimsicott retreat, actually, instead of Shadow Rider. Maybe Shadow Rider protects, or are they going on the offense too? Miraidon? I mean, both Pokemon are still taking Struggle Bug, so I'll take it. Okay, they protect. So that's why I didn't U-turn to Cali, because there is the option that, like, more likely out of the Whimsicott and the Shadow Rider is going to protect. So I get a U-turn off and a Struggle Bug and the Miraidon. This is perfect. This is perfect. I have negated a lot of their offensive capabilities. I could go Whimsicott or I could go out into Giratina. I think I'm going to go Whimsicott first. I really like the idea of going Whimsicott first. We're going to go for our Moonblast into the Miraidon slot, and we're going to go into Rillaboom. This is a problem with running a bunch of special attackers, especially as they're restricted, just because of the fact that Light Screen plus the Struggle Bug is just adding up. Our Rillaboom is going to come in, get to the grassy terrain, so the Miraidon's a lot less damage output. Like, these Pokemon are just not doing any damage at this point. Astral Barrage is going to come out, which is fine. Moonblast went and KO'd the Cali anyway. As you can see, Whimsicott tanks it extremely well. And Miraidon is going to go for a Volt Switch, also targeting Volcarona, so that's fine. Whatever's coming is taking a Moonblast, so feeling pretty good about this. Also, they stayed in with Shadow Rider, which is interesting because I did have the threat of Encore in the Shadow Rider, but I mean, I'm okay with this still. I think after a Grassy Terrain recovery, I think I might lift the next attack, especially if they give me an Iron Valiant hit. Yeah, like that's big damage to Iron Valiant. Okay, nice. So Valiant is in range of Shadow Sneak. Unless this is Terra Normal, I don't have anything to really fear here. I kind of like the idea of just going for a Tailwind and a U-turn. Actually, would I want a U-turn or would I want to just Wood Hammer? I am slower than Shadow Rider with Rillaboom even after Tailwind is up. So I think it's fine to just go for a Tailwind and U-turn. Yeah, no, this is fine. They're finally going to retreat to Shadow Rider. This might be Whimsicott, which is cool. Or Miraidon. Because they might go Miraidon to get rid of the grassy terrain, because I could have grassy glided and take a knockout. But yeah, they do bring in a Miraidon, so this is just ending up working out perfectly, because now I have a really good offensive pin the next turn, and Giratina is looking so solid at cleaning up this end game. We're gonna see a Terrassization come out, which is kind of surprising. All right, from the Iron Valiant, are you like Terra Fighting? Terra Ghost. I guess they expected Fake Out. But yeah, Tailwind is going to come out from the Whimsicott. I am going to be able to get a U-turn off. They go for the close combat and the Rillaboom to get some damage. Still not enough. And right now, I'm pretty sure that Giratina is pretty set on winning this game. I'm like pretty sure that I just win with Giratina at this point. So we're going to go out into Giratina, and the job is simple. Just go for Moonblast and go for a Shadow Sneak. We already confirmed earlier in the game it can't be Scarf Miraidon on this team because Shadow Rider outsped the Miraidon earlier. So yeah, I just Shadow Sneak, I go for Moonblast, they go for Protect, which is fine. Like, here's the thing, I can Encore the Miraidon next turn, so there's not really much hope for them. Shadow Sneak will KO the Valiant. Valiant's gone. That's one mon down, one resource gone, and the Terrassization is popped already, so don't have to worry about Shadow Rider being able to Terra out of the weakness to Shadow Sneak. The Whimsicott is pretty low, so I'm just gonna Encore, and I'm just gonna Encore and go for a Shadow Sneak. Yeah, and I get the Encore off into the Miraidon, so the game is pretty much locked at this point. I don't get the KO on Whimsicott as they get Tailwind up, but I mean, this is still fine. Like, the Miraidon is locked into the Protect and can't do anything at this point. I get a free Shadow Sneak into Whimsicott. They can't Encore my Whimsicott because of the fact that I just used Encore the previous turn, so I get a free opportunity to do something here with my Whimsicott. It's probably just going to be Moonblast into the Miraidon and just Shadow Sneak into Whimsicott. Yeah. As they do retreat into Shadow Rider, but that, I mean, Shadow Rider I think might live the Moonblast at the range it was at, but yeah, like, it doesn't really change much because they still can't get knockouts. and I have a guaranteed way to win. So Shadow Sneak will come out, take the knockout into the Whimsicott. Whimsicott goes down. And like the thing is, the Shadow is also on the timer because Moonblast puts it in like what, 2 life orb hits, special attack drop. It doesn't really change the impact of the game as Tailwind expires. Do I want Tailwind to secure the game? I don't really need it, but I don't really need, I mean, I don't really need any of my moves, right? I guess I could go for something else. I guess the fact that Miraidon has Protect makes this interesting. The least valuable mon is Volcarona by far, though. I think it's going to Volcarona and just Protect, because the Encore threat on Whimsicott actually does provide value here. Now, unless they have some crazy substitute tech on Miraidon, I'm gonna be good here. I'm gonna be good. Volcarona has provided really great usage at the beginning, but at this point in the game, it has accomplished everything I need to do. Sure, I can maybe use it for Rage Powder, but doesn't really change much. Yeah, I didn't think he had enough HP for sub. That's why I was like, there's no way. I was like, there's no way the Shadow had enough HP for sub. Like, that's why I was like, only some Miraidon could maybe win this position. You go for a Dazzling Gleam, sure. Electric Terrain also just disappears naturally. Now I'm just guaranteed to win because I can go for Rage Powder and I can go for Terra Fire, Shadow Sneak, and what if there's safety goggles Miraidon and they crit my Giratina? Sure, maybe. But yeah, we go for the Terra Fire with the Giratina to get rid of the Fairy weakness. I don't think I need it to Terrasilize, but I'll do it anyway just to be safe. They go for Protect, which is cool. But yeah, as long as I'm preventing them from going for a Draco Meteor / Electro Drift, I'm good. And if they actually have safety goggles Miraidon, I'm just gonna question a lot in what I'm doing. Dazzling Gleam, as you can see, does just no damage. That's the power of like not having a, like, that's not even with Light Screen up. That's not with the special attack drop. That's just Miraidon without a Choice Specs or Life Orb. We go for a Shadow Sneak, we go for it into the Calyrex, and we just Rage Powder again. If they take the knock on a Volcarona, we're just going to get a free switch to Rillaboom, Fake Out. We even have Whimsicott that can just come in and throw it off an Encore, so like there's really nothing they could do at that point. As we will go for the Rage Powder and the Shadow Sneak, KO the Calyrex, and then the Miraidon is trapped by itself, and we go for, I guess, just multiple Shadow Sneaks at this point. They go for the Electro Drift, sure. What's a guaranteed way to win? I guess it could be Covert Cloak on their mon. I mean, it's just Whimsicott, right? I go for Moonblast, Shadow Sneak, and 2 Shadow Sneaks will KO the... Yeah, no, yeah, Moonblast, Shadow Sneak twice. Yeah, but I'm going to be forfeited. They also know that the game is over, so it kind of looked dicey from the start, right? I wasn't really getting the best damage, but the thing is, the fact that they just couldn't figure out a way to really break through. Like, they got a heavy turn 1. Like, the damage turn 1 was pretty strong. But it significantly dropped off turns 2 and 3. And then that just put them... Again, I was getting some chip damage to put them into range of my Giratina and my Rillaboom attacks. And that's just a massive part because they had pretty decently fragile mons for the most part, especially the lead. And then Shadow Sneak plus Grassy Glide was just so strong, especially because the Moonblast switch, the Miraidon and the Calyrex Shadow just rely on, you know, breaking through opponents. But if you can't set up, if you don't have setup, it was substitute for crying out loud. And the fact that the Miraidon had to deal with Struggle Bug, Grassy Terrain, and Light Screen, it was just too much. All right, we have a pretty offensive rain team with Zacian, Rillaboom, Xianpao, Tornadus, Landorus Incarnate, and Kyogre. All right, how would I want to expect to approach this? I'm pretty sure that they are going to be leading something like Torn Zacian or Torn Kyogre. I think that would make the most sense to me. I think Zacian would make a lot of sense here as a lead. which is kind of concerning because I don't exactly have the best lead against it. I mean, I do have Kyogre, which can be nice. I'm trying to figure out, do I bring the Whimsicott for my own Tailwind mode? Because even if I get Tailwind up, I'm not exactly faster than these Pokemon. Or is it just better to go with like just a general route and see how it can go? Because I could do something like the Kyogre, Rillaboom, Volcarona, and Giratina, and that might be better here. Light Screen would be nice, but it's only really going to matter for the Kyogre. I think Kyogre plus Rillaboom isn't too bad as a lead. I don't think it would be awful here. So I think I am going to lead the Kyogre and Rillaboom. I think it's just a good general pairing for the most part. I think I'm going to do the Giratina in the back and the Volcarona. I am a little bit worried about dealing with their Kyogre, but at the end of the day, I am like, in order to get to the Kyogre, I feel like I'm going to have to break through the Zacian first. The Zacian is going to be such a hard Pokemon for me to handle here for my Giratina. So if I can clear that, it makes my Giratina's life a lot easier. We're going to see Torn and Qianpao. So this is not a terrible lead. Not the greatest lead, but it's not a terrible lead. Okay. So I do have access to Fake Out plus Water Spout. I do have access to just straight up damage. I don't know if they're going to Tailwind here. They could go for Bleak Wind immediately, which would be fine. I don't know if they're going to go for the Ice move immediately. And I don't know if I want to take the damage on Rillaboom or if I want to take the damage on Volcarona potentially. I do like the idea of just firing off a Water Spout. The question is, do I go for a Fake Out or do I just go for a switch to Volcarona? I think this should be Bleak Wind. It's probably Cover Cloak on the Torn, although a lot of Torns have been dropping it, so maybe it's worth just going for the Fake Out and Water Spout. Because if they don't get Tailwind, it might not be too bad, and keeping Volcarona healthy is actually not awful. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna Fake Out the Torn and Water Spout. If they're Cover Cloak, they're Cover Cloak. If they're not, they're not. But we are gonna see a Terra coming out from my opponent. Gonna be Qianpao Ghost. Yeah, Ghost Pow. Okay, that's not too bad. That is not too bad, as I didn't go for Fake Out into Qianpao. Sure, I could have went for Grassy Glide, which would have been better. Oh, Torn protects. Okay. So I kind of had like a kind of a right mindset. Yeah, it didn't work out. I think best play would have been technically the Grassy Glide to Qianpao there. I don't think this is awful, but this is not ideal, of course. They go for Ice Spinner. Oh, wait, that shouldn't KO. Unless it's Life Orb. I think it is Life Orb. That means we're trading Qianpao for the Rillaboom. Wait, that Ice Spinner KO'd. I mean, maybe it's Adamant Pow. Oh, it is Sash. Wow, I'm actually surprised the Ice Spinner KO, but I guess I'm also used to Rillabooms that just generally usually survive Ice Spinner. I mean, we do have Giratina, so Giratina can come in. We could also go Volcarona. I'm debating about which one is better here. I don't think I can afford to take damage on the Volcarona for the most part. Yeah, this is tricky. I should have just Grassy Glided turn 1 into the POW and got rid of the POW. They don't have access to Terastallization anymore. I think the place to go Giratina first. And then we'll just see how the rest plays out. Okay. So I don't think it would be bad to just protect the Kyogre and Poltergeist. They might Sucker Punch my Kyogre, or they might Sucker Punch my Giratina. I think they would be more likely to Sucker Punch my Kyogre, because I don't think they need to target Giratina as much. I think they need damage on Kyogre, but we'll see. I am going to go for a Poltergeist into the Torn, and I'm going to protect here. It is a bit of an aggressive play, but I think it could work out, so let's see. I do also need to get rid of Torn eventually. Yeah, they did Sucker Punch attempt my Kyogre. Beautiful. And they went for Bleak Wind, so there is not going to be Tailwind coming out. So that's actually kind of beneficial here, as I don't really take too much damage with Giratina on the Bleak Wind, and I am able to threaten the Poltergeist into the Giratina, which it was Cobra Cloak, so it was just protect Cobra Cloak. Okay, as we are able to KO the Torn. I don't know if the crit mattered. Probably not. It sort of ruined Poltergeist, which is pretty strong, but still a pretty great turn for me. I was able to knock out the Torn, and now they're going to bring out the Kyogre. Now Kyogre is troubling. Kyogre is troubling. I don't think this is that bad though. I don't think this is that bad. I think We're in a pretty okay position for the most part. How fast is my Giratina? It's not really that fast. That's the only issue. I can go for Shadow Sneak. Shadow Sneak Water Spout isn't too bad here. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna Shadow Sneak Water Spout. I have no idea if they sucker or not the Giratina, but they are gonna sucker the Giratina. Doesn't pick up the knockout. We live on 1 HP, which is super clutch because we get the Shadow Sneak with the Sword of Ruin boost into Kyogre. That's some decent damage to the Kyogre. And they have Thunder. Okay. Does a good amount of damage to Kyogre. No paralysis though. That's massive. Okay. We do get a Water Spout off and we get some decent damage to Kyogre. Okay. I don't think this is bad. I don't think this is awful. I think this is winnable, but I think it's really, really tough. I think it's really, really tough. All right, so this should be Zacian as the last Pokemon. Yep, Zacian is going to reveal itself. I think my best play is always just to protect my Kyogre and go for a Shadow Sneak into their Kyogre. We're going to say Terrestrialization for my Volcarona because I think Volcarona can help clean up this end game. So we get a Shadow Sneak off. Almost KO to Kyogre, which is beautiful. Thunder. Oh, there's Scarf. Scarf Kyogre. Interesting. Okay. Hemat Blade comes out. I didn't think it was going to be Scarf Kyogre on this, but sure. That works out in my favor. Because Water Spout should KO their Kyogre at this range, and then I should be able to Hydro Pump win. I think it just depends on if Volcarona lives to double up, but I think I should easily. So I am going to go for Hydro Pump. And we are always going to go for the Rage Powder. I could also go for Terra Grass Kyogre. And just go for a... No, I don't think that ever makes sense. I could go for Protect and Struggle Bug. KO to Kyogre potentially. But I think Rage Powder is just better. Yeah. Gain that initial damage on Zacian because the rain is almost over. Might just put in the range of the Hydro Pump too, which is important. The Thunder going to come out into Volcarona, which we're able to eat. Thankfully, we've been dodging the Thunder Paras because that's what I've been really worried about for the game. Behemoth Blade, no Flame Body, but we do get the Water Spout KO into their Kyogre, and we get good chip damage to Zacian. Okay, beautiful. All right. It's just going to come down to, I think, a paralysis on... Or not paralysis, a Hydro Pump hit into the Zacian. Because Water Spout won't KO the Zacian. If I get the Flame Body, I might be able to miss one Hydro Pump. But, I mean, at the end of the day, let's just see how this goes. We Rage Powder, we Hydro. So, let's see. Let's see. Rage Powder coming out. As I go for Play Rough into Volcarona. Okay, beautiful. I mean, I could have protected Wisp too, but I mean, this also works on our Flame Body, which is beautiful. I mean, if they got Thunder Parrot, all I had to hope was I didn't get paralyzed that turn. We do hit the Hydro Pump though, so we do win the game. Ooh, okay. Okay, beautiful. All right, wasn't expecting the Scarf Kyogre there, but glad I caught that because it really mattered for the end game because I was planning to go for Terra Water with my Volcarona to clean up, but thankfully I didn't have to. I guess I didn't need my Terrestrialization after all. I think overall the lead wasn't great. I did get technically kind of right, but I really should have just Grass Glide Water Spout. If I Grass Glide Water Spout, I think I'm in such a much better position. I didn't expect the Ice Bear to KO the Rillaboom, but it ended up doing so. And yeah, then, I mean, I was able to get some good reads. Like I called the Sucker Punch in Kyogre. I got the KO on the Torn. The Shadow Sneak damage was actually pretty beneficial to me across the board. And yeah, I was just able to put on quite a bit of pressure. And that clutch Giratina survival. Let me just say that clutch Giratina survival. Calyx, Shadow Rider, Smeargle, Zamazenta, Rillaboom, Ogerpon, Wellspring form, and Incineroar. If it wasn't for the Wellspring, this would be so much easier. Okay. I don't know if this team can handle both Wellspring, Ogerpon, and Smeargle. We're gonna try, but it's looking pretty rough. I think I'm gonna bring Whimsicott lead with Giratina. Is this just a game where I don't bring... No, I need Kyogre, right? No, I absolutely need Kyogre. If I don't bring Kyogre, it's like really bad. So I think it's Kyogre, Volcarona. Qianpao is nice, but it just doesn't do anything to the Zama, which I do need damage in the Zamazenta. I also need to slow it down, which is why I'm bringing Volcarona. That's kind of why I'm not bringing Rillaboom. It doesn't really do much here other than like... I mean, it's good against Wellspring. It's good against Smeargle and Shadow Rider, but it doesn't really solve my Zamazenta problem. Because Zamazenta, like, sure, I wall it with the Giratina, but the thing about the matchup against this is Zamazenta body press hurts a lot into the others, and I can't really damage it because I don't have fire move on Volcarona. So that's kind of like the weakness here is Zamazenta is really tough to damage because the only mon that can really damage it is Kyogre. Otherwise, you rely on Volcarona to slow it down and Giratina to wall it, sorta, but they're just too slow at it. Aces. So let's see. Alex plus Incineroar, and I could just let Kyogre. All right, Giratina plus the Whimsicott. I'm okay with taking damage on Giratina if I get the big damage into the Shadow Rider. I think this is just a nasty Poltergeist plus Light Screen Angle because they can't fake out my Whimsicott. Yeah, so there should be a Light Screen safely, and I could swap into Kyogre, but I don't want to risk the damage because that puts me in body press range. I think we just go for a Poltergeist into the Shadow Rider. Let's see if this works out or not, because this could go poorly. I could see multiple ways of this going poorly. They could Terra Dark here, which is fine. Because if they Terra Dark, that means they can't commit Terastallization to anything else. The only thing I am a bit concerned about is my only Pokemon that really damage the Wellspring are my Giratina. Because Moonblast, Struggle Bug, they're just not really doing too much. Terastallization wise, I might go for Terastallization on my Volcarona, but we'll see. We're going to see Terastallization from the Shadow Rider into the Terra Dark, which is not too surprising. Okay. So they fake out my Giratina. I guess they were trying to read Terra from my Giratina, but because I Light Screen, I should live in Astral Barrage. Yeah. The only problem with this combo, which I really dislike about this thing, is the Giratina is slower than the Shadow Rider, even with Tailwind, which really annoys me. But all right, we get good damage. Yeah. That's like the one thing that pisses me off about the team is the Giratina can't be faster than the Shadow Rider. We're gonna go for Tailwind and we're gonna go for Protect. Because like this could be an easy Tailwind Draco Meteor if I had some speed investment on the Giratina. But unfortunately, you do not have that access. They go for Protect, which is kind of an interesting trade here. I guess they're going to go for Parting Shot and go out into the Wellspring Ogerpon. That's my guess here. So we get a Tailwind up. Parting Shot, yep. So I could have gotten like Kyogre for free, I guess, but I don't think that's worth it. The rest of this is gonna be. It's just dealing with. This is the problem with the Shadow Rider. Yeah, the Ogerpon comes in. I guess I'm gonna have to change my game plan a bit. I'm gonna Moonblast and I'm gonna go for Terrifier. What does more here? Draco Meteor -1 or Poltergeist? It's definitely the Draco Meteor, I think. I'm just gonna Terrifier Draco Meteor and Moonblast. Looks like I won't have access to Terastallization, but if the last mon's almost Zenta, I don't need it on the Kyogre, and we'll see. I need to get rid of the Ogerpon so I can start clicking Water Spouts comfortably. The problem is, since this is Life Orb Shadow Rider, they can have Protect. It's going to be really rough. Bring out the Fire Terra. Follow Me going to come out, which is not surprising. This Shadow Rider should be faster than Giratina. Moonblast. That's a nice crit, actually. Yeah, that's the problem with Giratina, man. This is the problem with the mixed Giratina set. Okay, not that. Doesn't KO either of my Pokemon. We do get a Draco Meteor off. Huge. Oh, that didn't KO Ogerpon. Okay. I think we're still good, though. I'm going into Volcarona. And I'm going to Shadow Sneak the Ogerpon. Yeah. If they Spike a Shield, that's fine. The only thing that could make me scared here is maybe they go back to Instant. But I think we're in a alright spot. Is Volcarona coming in? Ah, they actually did make the instant play. Good play on their part. Okay. Oh, they protect. Wait, no, that works out. Okay, that works out. So I'm gonna Struggle Bug. And I'm going to drop a Draco Meteor. Because I can't let them get a free Nasty Plot here. Because if they Nasty Plot, I'm in a dire position. So I have to attack here with Draco. Risk the Astral Barrage, which I think they are going to click Astral Barrage. But if they Nasty Plot and fake on my Volcarona, the game is cooked. So I have to go for Draco Meteor Struggle Bug here. And I'm okay with this because I should be able to get a second layer of Tailwind up, which is at least beneficial. And I shouldn't take too much damage with my Volcarona because of the light screen. I think I'm going to come out into Volk. Yeah, that's exactly why I could not let that happen. So I am able to get a Draco Meteor off, which is huge. All right. Yeah, because this is the exact thing I've been fighting for. I'm just gonna Shadow Sneak the Cali, I think. Now, if they protect the Cali, that's bad. If they protect the Cali and go for Parting Shot, that's bad. I just realized I probably should have thought about that more, but there's not really much I can do. It's kind of a gamble. I think it's just a, do I read the Protect? Because if I read the Protect, then I go Whimsicott, I'm probably in an okay spot. I'm really hoping they just click Astral here. I'm really hoping they just click Astral. We see the Incineroar switch. Go Zamazenta. I am not liking this. Okay, no, they did attack. Okay. I guess Shadow Sneak off. Extra damage. Here comes the Astral. Okay. Do they know the team? As Giratina goes down. About to take another life or pit. We go Whims. I have not revealed anything about the Volcarona, so it just depends on if they know the team. I'm going to go for Will-O-Wisp into the Zama, though, and Tailwind. I think this is correct. Yeah. Because if they Wide Guard an Astral, I at least get the burn in the Zamazenta. The Shadow Rider knocks itself out. Yeah, I think they know. Okay. Please hit this Wisp. Otherwise, I need to go for Double Protect, but please hit this Wisp. Okay. There is potential. There is potential. I have to get every turn right though, upcoming. I have to get every turn right. At least they can't tear the instant. Also, the Kyogre should be faster than a Wellspring. I think we confirmed the speed stat earlier, but I'm... Actually, did we? I might be wrong on that. Okay, Shadow Rider goes down. We got the burn off in his Zamazenta. Absolutely massive. Because the way they brought in Zamazenta, that just screamed to me that they knew the team. Because otherwise, he would probably have tried to go Wellspring there for Follow Me Redirection. We're going to go into Kyogre. As Incineroar comes in. It's just a read here. Hyper attack to stall out this fake out, and then it's the question. Then the question marks are just gonna happen. Luckily, the Wellspring Ogerpon is like at like really low HP. I really wish we got the KO on it earlier. I really was hoping we would, but now it's just when do we read the Ogerpon coming in? Because that's gonna be a big one. There's like so many plays they could go for too. It's like, do I Water Spout, do I Hydro Pump, or do I Ice Beam hard read? So much that could go wrong. There's so much that could go wrong. I wonder if they're trying to go for timer. I don't think the timer is going to change it here though. Interesting Wellspring Ogerpon bring here. Okay. That's fine. Now is the question, does Wellspring Ogerpon retreat? Do I Water Spout or do I Ice Beam? I think it's just an obvious play versus the hard read here. Because I Water Spout if I read Spiky Shield or anything. I got Water Spout. It's literally just coming down to an Ogerpon read here. It's just coming down to an Ogerpon read. Do you Ogerpon? Oh, they attacked. They got me. Unless this is Power Whip and miss, but probably unlikely. Damage. Body press. Yeah, they got me. Ah. Again, it just came down to, because like if I Ice Beam the Ogerpon, the game's over, right? The body press is just not doing enough. I protect, I can draw off Hydro Pump. I mean, I guess it's not over because I gotta hit Hydro Pumps. So maybe they were like, okay, they probably understood that too. Otherwise, if I do have like an ice move or an electric move like Ice Move Thunder, they're like, okay, then I have access to Wide Guard if it's Origin Pulse, and if it's Hydro Pump, you gotta hit a bunch of Hydro Pumps. But man, as I told you, it was going to be difficult. That matchup was really rough. And it's because Giratina cannot outspeed the Shadow Rider. If I was able to outspeed the Shadow Rider earlier, I think like it could have made so much more of a difference putting on more offensive pressure against it. But yeah. And then we weren't able to KO the Ogerpon because Draco Meteor and Moonblast crit didn't even knock out, which unfortunate. I guess I would have had to Ice Beam, but even then, I was down to Hydro Pumps, but again, it's just a hard read at that point. Chi-Yu, Groudon, Raging Bull, Calyx Ice Rider, the Ogerpon Wellspring form, and Fluttermane. Okay. Groudon versus Kyogre, a tale of time. There is a Wellspring Ogerpon though, which kind of makes this pretty annoying. I actually really like Terrifier Giratina though. Terrifier Giratina is really good in this matchup. If positioned properly. I think it's Giratina. Did I bring Pow? I don't think I bring Pow. I don't bring Whimsicott either, I'm pretty sure. Pow does good against Raging Bull, but I don't need it per se. Volcarona Wisp is so good into the Cali. I think I go with Volcarona. I like Volcarona. Volcarona Rillaboom is like not terrible. The only thing is Chiyu is actually kind of scary. Like if Chiyu gets into a good offensive position, it's really rough. I gotta watch out for that. Wellspring Ogerpon is definitely going to be broad, and that Pokemon is super difficult to deal because I need to break through it with my Kyogre or before my Kyogre comes in. And the only monsters that do that are Rillaboom and Giratina, which both don't like Cali Ice and both don't like Chiyu. So I think this is going to be a pretty rough one. I think it just depends on how well like each other is able to position their Wettermon, like Kyogre on our side, Ground on their side, and then like the Wellspring Ogerpon is going to be a big deal. So let's see if I can get rid of that before they can start doing massive damage to me. We're going to see Wellspring Ogerpon and the Cali Ice, which is not surprising here, as I do lead Rillaboom plus the Volcarona. I'm kind of curious how fast their Wellspring Ogerpon is. I was planning to Terra Fire, but I might have to change the game plan. I'm going to go for a Will-O-Wisp into the Cali Ice, and I'm just going to go for Fake Out into the Wellspring Ogerpon. They probably just double protect, but if they don't for some reason, they get heavily punished. All right, we get to see who's faster between Wellspring Ogerpon and the Volcarona, and it looks like my Volcarona's faster. That's actually really good to know. Okay. The fact I'm faster with Volcarona means I can actually threaten a Will-O-Wisp before they can get an attack off. So I'm actually going to go for Will-O-Wisp into the Wellspring Ogerpon. And I'm going to go for a U-turn into the Cali Ice. They go for Follow Me, which is fine. This actually works out really well because I don't really take any damage here. So I get a Will-O-Wisp off into the into the Wellspring. And I get to U-turn out, and I get to go out in the Kyogre because I'm not risking Glacial Lance here. And if they bring in Groudon, they weaken the power of their Ivy Cudgel. So this is actually still pretty good. The only problem is we are powering up the Wellspring Ogerpon currently, but I think this is a pretty decent trade-off. Yeah. I also still can go for Terra Water in the next couple of turns. I will be very cautious about going for Terra Water though. They go for Trick Room, which is fine. Okay. Sure, that's acceptable. There's no way they don't. Are you gonna Glacial? I think I always protect Volcarona. I can play aggressive with the Kyogre and threaten the Hydro Pump, and I am really tempted to. I think I am. I'm gonna go for damage. They go for Terastallization, so this is the Cali. Okay, water. Yeah, they're weak to Grassy Glide now, so that's something that is useful. Okay. I'm just really scared about Raging Bolt Groudon back. That's the only reason why I'm hesitating to Terra. For Glacial Lands, there's no way you don't Ivy Cudgel the Volk, right? I don't think you want your Cali burned. Yeah. Perfect. And we hit the Hydro, so we get some chip damage. Actually, some pretty good damage. Alright. I think, unfortunately, I'm going to have to play around the Raging Bolt. But granted, like, they can't Terrastallize the Raging Bolt out of the Draco Meteor from my Giratina in the later parts of the game. So that's still playable. If I burn the Cali Ice, I'm in a good spot. So I'm just going to go for Terrastallization, go for the Will-O-Wisp into the Cali Ice, and protect my Kyogre. If they protect the Cali Ice, we're just going to be... I mean, it's just going to be rough, but we'll see. We'll see. Go for the Terra Water with our Volcarona. Both water types are out. They protect this time. Okay. Ivy Cudgel. This doesn't do anything. Still did a decent chunk actually with the rain, but granted, we're okay. I'm actually kind of surprised they're not going for Follow Me. They might go for Follow Me this time around. Or they go for the grass move, but follow me makes more sense, I think. I like the idea of just protecting Ice Beam though, because stalling out the terrain for my Volcarona seems pretty tempting. So I'm just going to Ice Beam and go for Protect. Because Volcarona, I need healthy. Because I need to burn this Cali eventually. Because it's going to be important for Glacial Lands. Surviving Glacial Lands is going to be really important. So it went on the offense. Who did they go for the grass move into? Kyogre, or did they go for the grass move into the Volcarona? Because that's a big deal. Nice. Okay. Perfect. As we get Ice Beam damage. And now it's in Struggle Bug range. Actually, I could Ice Beam Wisp here. Because I should live Woodhammer Glacial after the terrain disappeared, I imagine. At least I really hope so. I really hope so. So I'm going to go for a Wisp, and I'm going to go for the Ice Beam. It can protect, which is fine. If they go for Follow Me, that'd be best case, but I don't think that's likely. High horsepower, that does so much damage. And unfortunately, I didn't get the Flame Body. Okay, the Woodhammer does get the KO onto Volk. If it crits, I don't know if that mattered. Because I'm used to really physically defensive Volk, so I took more high horsepower damage than I thought. I do get rid of Wellspring, but the game is looking dangerous. Okay. Goodbye, you. I don't know if the trade-off is worth it. We'll see. We go out in a Rillaboom. Who's the back, though? The back is the important part, because Groudon's probably one of them. I don't know what the last one is. Raging Bolt, okay. Do you call my Kyogre switch? I always would hammer to Cali Ice. Switching out into Giratina, I think. The Raging Bolt is still a problem, but I mean, I think it's very, very doable. The thing is, the left slot seems always pinned by Woodhammer, so they don't have a good play into it. Unless they have Weather Ball. If they have Weather Ball, that's bad. If they have Weather Ball, that's bad, but we'll see. They probably protect. They protect Raging Bolt. They didn't protect Cali. Oh, no, they did protect Cali. Okay. No, that's actually best case scenario. That's best case scenario. As I Woodhammer to Cali. Okay, no, that's actually works out pretty well. Because now I threaten the Woodhammer into the Cali slot still. And I can protect the Giratina this turn. Because I'm not risking them swapping out into Groudon and going for a Draco. Which they are going to make. Perfect. Yep. This might be in a Rillaboom though. That's my only concern. I hope with a Assault Vest I'll take it. But we'll see. As we protect our Giratina. This is still a Woodhammer and grassy terrain, so it should do a lot to the Groudon. I don't think it KOs, but it's a lot. Oh, it actually did KO. Huh. You take a lot of recoil here, though. Alright, I don't need my Kyogre as much anymore. It actually is Weather Ball. Why did I say it out loud, man? Oh, that's so bad. It's winnable, though. It's winnable. Oh, it's Life Orb? Oh, no. Wait. What move did you drop, though? Because you have Protect and Weather Ball. There's no way you drop Thunderclap. Oh, okay. It's winnable, but this is really bad. I can't believe it was actually Weather Ball. Why did I say that out loud, man? I did not actually think it was a Weather Ball. I didn't have a play that covered that, too, because if I switched out Giratina, it didn't matter. Unless the Cali Ice is like max speed, but that's just really unlikely there. I would have had to U-turn or something. Thunderclap and Protect Mind Game is pretty much what this comes down to. They might not have Draco. That's the thing. might not have Draco. I think my hope is to pray that they Thunderclap here, my Kyogre, and just Glacial or Trick Room. Nice. Okay. Hit the Draco. Hit this Draco. If I live this, I'm pretty sure I'm in a game-winning position. I think Draco KO'd the Raging Bolt since it's Life Orb. Then I could go for... I mean, I go for Water Spout into Poltergeist, into into probably a Hydro afterward. I think that's enough. I think I just have to hit the Hydro Poltergeist. I mean, there are moves I have to hit, but like, come on. That was already rough. I think I gotta hope for a misplay at this point. They should just Thunderclap, but I'm going for the misplay. Like, sure, I could go for a double attack with Kyogre and Draco the Raging Bull, but the problem is they KO the Giratina, then I don't get the Poltergeist damage. I don't beat Cali Ice. So, unless I crit this. Ow. That's Citrus Berry? But I've still lost because it's Citrus Berry? Because Citrus Berry actually makes things weird. I think I might have actually lost this still, even if I hit the Draco. Or even if I did hit the Draco. Because of the fact that Citrus Berry, I can't Poltergeist it, which is like the downside of using Poltergeist in general. But I think we saw kind of the downside of these mons, because we did have to hit several moves in order to win the game. But also because it's Citrus Berry, it actually changes the dynamic a lot. But man, I felt like I put myself in an okay spot. And then it was Weather Ball, Raging Bolt, and we missed a Draco. All right, let's go over the games. In game one, I cannot believe I faced a stall team, but after being up so much, I probably should have thought about like this was probably going to go to timer, and I definitely could have had a much easier time if I just focused down on the Quagsire, didn't allow an opportunity to get toxic. And because of the toxic, it ended up making it a lot more difficult, especially with the double protect, because the double protect made it so Rillaboom was a bit annoying. If you were able to catch all the turns with the speed up, like there were some dicey moments because of the fact that Rillaboom just ended up taking a lot of damage. But that is the weakness of the stall team on card, because Blessed card as an overall game timer, unlike Pokemon Showdown, makes a huge difference, and we were able to stall out perfectly. In game two, I cannot believe I keep doing this, but I really gotta stop Rage Powdering in front of grass types. It's only with Volcarona too. With Amoonguss, I'm used to the fact, but I just don't really use Rage Powder Volcarona enough, and sometimes my brain short circuits, especially in this weather, unfortunately. So I really have to drill that into my head that when I use Volcarona, I have Rage Powder, but I'm not redirecting the grass types like the Ogre Pond. So that was definitely a potential throw, because if they had me cudgeled, I would have lost the if they had me cudgeled my Kyogre, I would have lost the game. So please, James, stop Rage Powdering in front of grass types unless it actually is somehow optimal. But Struggle Bug was always the play there, because I could have Giratina potentially clean up. Could have been a bit scary, but I do think I was in a pretty decent spot if I clicked Struggle Bug instead. However, thankfully they didn't target my Kyogre, they targeted my Volcarona. In game three, Miraidon and Calyx Shadow. This is one of the weaknesses of running a duo that does rely heavily on the special attack damage output, because with the Struggle Bug, Volcarona, and the light screen, it was just so difficult for my opponent. Like the first two turns, the damage output was really scary, but the damage just scaled off a cliff after the third turn. So I was just able to weaken my opponent's team and set them up for a perfect Giratina cleanup, especially with Rillaboom in the back. In game four, Zacian and Kyogre, which I don't think I led that well against this team. I mean, I kind of had an idea with the Fake on Torn, but then again, it was Overcloak Protect, so I guess it didn't work out. There was a potential Terra Ghost on the Chien-Pao, so I think maybe I should have just taken the KO onto Chien-Pao with the Grassy Glide instead of going for the Fake on the Torn. I was really hoping I could deny maybe the tail in there by getting the Water Spout, but it didn't exactly work out well. Luckily, the turn two was really good, where I was able to get the Poltergeist, which was huge damage. and I was able to build up some momentum. However, it was definitely a bit of a tricky game. However, thanks to them being Scarf Kyogre locked into Thunder, I was actually able to be put into good position because I didn't get Thunder Parrot, was able to land a Hydro Pump in the end game, and Volcarona was just very comfortable at that point. In game 5, I just knew this was going to be difficult. Wellspring Ogerpon plus Calyx Shadow Rider, and the Giratina was just slower than Shadow Rider under Tailwind, which is like the big downfall of this team. However, I felt like I played pretty well for the most part. The only turn I feel like I could have maybe changed was the Shadow Sneak into the Wellspring Ogerpon when I tried to go for Shadow Sneak into the Ogerpon and Moonblast the Calyx Shadow Rider. That was a bit obvious. They switched to Instant there and went for the Protect. I think maybe I could have probably tried to read that and go for like a repositioning with maybe a double switch into Volcarona and Kyogre. So I always was able to threaten the Shadow Rider because they weren't doing too much damage with the light screen up. So maybe it wasn't awful to reposition there, especially since the Shadow Sneak again might have been a bit too obvious, and I kind of need to play more aggressive because the matchup was already pretty bad. Otherwise, I did make a lot of turns right, other than the final call of the Ice Beam versus the Water Spout or Hydro Pump. But I might have been able to avoid that play or that decision if I was making better decisions earlier in the game and capitalize more on offensive positioning at the earlier parts by pressuring the Shadow Rider even more. In game 6, I felt like I was playing pretty well. I cannot believe I was joking about like, oh, this Raging Bull could have Weather Ball. And then it actually revealed it was Weather Ball and KO'd my Rillaboom. I'm like, oh my goodness, the fact that I brought it to life was just so bad. It was playable at that point with the Draco Meteor until like, oh, I missed the Draco Meteor into the Raging Bull. Granted, I do think that game might have still been a lost cause just because it was Citrus Berry Cali Ice. And that's kind of one of the things about the team is consumables are pretty bad when you do have a Giratina, which main damage output is reliant on hitting your opponent with their own items. So how was the team? I actually think it is quite a bit of a chore. I just think that Giratina origin form, like with Kyogre, one, you just have a lot of inaccurate moves: Poltergeist, Draco Meteor, and Hydro Pump, and a lot of them are super important. You even have stuff like Willis on Volcarona and Icicle Crash on Chien-Pao. It's a team that really relies on hitting a lot of your moves, and I don't think Giratina is like the most oppressive Pokemon. The most damage output you are going to have with this team is going to be Kyogre, so you are really relying on Kyogre to pull in a lot of that weight. So it is a pretty difficult team to handle, but again, shout outs to Henry because he was able to make this team go into day 2 of NAIC, which I think was a very impressive accomplishment. And the team was able to perform decently well. We had some of the tools that we were needed to be able to win games. It just is sometimes you do have to hit those moves. Sometimes you do have to make some hard call outs, especially in matchups like the Calyx Shadow Rider Zamazenta especially. I do think if I were to change the team, I would just make the Giratina faster than the Calyx Shadow Rider, because I think that was the one thing that was just annoying me throughout the entire time was I have Tailwind up and I can't even outspeed Shadow Rider. I can't even outspeed like Miraidon and stuff with Tailwind. It's like, man, it's just a struggle sometimes. So that would be the one thing I change. However, if you would like to try out the team, the rental code is on the screen. Hopefully it's still available by the time the video comes out. If you would like to check out the details of the team and the creator, there'll be links in the description down below. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more VGC content as always.